Coming up, a real-life story of a daring escape.
A magical realist take on what makes life worth living.
Plus, our distraction of the week. I'm Mel.
I'm Dave. This is the Library of Lost Time.
I just learned about a remarkable story from American history that I knew nothing about.
What's that?
It's told in a new book by Ilyon Woo called Master, Slave, Husband, Wife. You are not even ready for this story.
Okay.
In 1848, an enslaved couple in Georgia decided to escape together. Their names were Ellen and William Craft. Ellen could pass for white, so she disguised herself as a white man with injuries. She wrapped her arm in a sling, she applied poultices to her face, she bound her breasts, and she wore men's shoes with an extra inch built into the soles to make herself taller. She put on tinted glasses and an extra tall silk hat, and she looked like a respectable gentleman. And her husband, William, he posed as her slave.
Yeah.
To get from Georgia to safety in the north, they had to travel more than 1,000 miles in trains, carriages, and steamboats. And they were in danger of being discovered every part of this journey.
Yeah.
The first leg was on the train, and they had to separate from each other because William had to ride in what was called the Negro car, and Ellen, because she was this fancy gentleman, was in first class. And just as the train was about to depart, a man sat down next to her. And peeking out at him from under the brim of her hat, she realized he was a friend of her enslaver and that she had just served him the night before at the house.
Oh, that tension is incredible.
I know. Even though you know they made it because there's a book about them. The story goes on from there with all kinds of close calls and tough decisions. Nothing in the book is fictionalized. Every description and line of dialogue comes from historical accounts, including a book that the couple wrote in 1860.
Whoa.
So this is a little bit of a spoiler, but not really because we know that they made it.
Right.
So when they started out, neither Ellen nor William could read or write. When they emigrated to England, they learned to do both, and they wrote their life story. In a morning show interview, the author of this book, Ilyon Woo, goes to an archive, and she sees documents written in Ellen's hand. In just a few months, Ellen learned to write in this beautiful script. People now cannot do cursive writing like that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, she and her husband went on to tell their own story. They were ridiculously brave and by all accounts shared a lifelong love for each other. I cannot wait to read more of their story. This book is Master, Slave, Husband, Wife by Ilyon Woo, and it's out now.
Jonathan Carroll has a new book out. It's called Mr. Breakfast.
I like that title.
Yeah. Jonathan Carroll is a fantasy writer who works in magical realism. His books frequently start out in our place and time and then go off in unexpected directions. Mr. Breakfast fits that description. It's about a guy who is suffering a midlife crisis. He's a comedian. That's not going anywhere for him. The love of his life has just left him. So he goes out and he buys a brand new lipstick red Ford Mustang convertible.
Obviously, the answer to everything.
Yeah, the call. And he hits the road, and he's on the East Coast, and he's hoping to decide what he's going to do with his life before he gets to California. And then he does something he's never done before. He gets a tattoo. He's talking to this friendly tattoo artist in North Carolina. He picks something from a photo of her work. That tattoo sets off an extraordinary chain of events. One of the things it does is give the comedian the gift of seeing in real time 3 different lives that are available to him.
Wow.
Yeah. The choice is up to him. He can continue with his life now, or he can choose a very different one.
It's like a choose-your-own-adventure book come to life.
Yeah. But once he's chosen, there's no telling what's going to happen next. Neil Gaiman said Mr. Breakfast was a beautiful, brilliant meditation on art, love, inspiration, and what makes life worthwhile. That is Mr. Breakfast by Jonathan Carroll. And now, our distraction of the week.
I think it's pretty common knowledge around here that I love trains and stories set on trains.
When you say around here, you mean in our house?
I mean in our podcast headquarters. We devoted a whole episode of Strong Sense of Place to great books about trains.
Yeah.
I think everyone is probably familiar with Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie.
Sure.
But there's also the noirish The Lady Vanishes by Ethelina White.
Right.
And the modern adventure story, The Dining Car by Eric Peterson. That one is perfect for foodies. If you've ever wished you could jump into the pages of one of those books or time travel back to the golden age of train travel, I have got a day trip for you.
Okay.
You can take a one-day train journey on a Hudson River rail excursion.
Oh, this is one of those super luxe Art Deco trains.
It is. Back in 1948, this train was known as the 20th Century Limited. It was billed as the world's most famous train. When passengers boarded this train bound for Chicago, they walked down a red carpet at Grand Central Terminal in New York City. And along the way from New York to Chicago, there was 5-star service, and I can only imagine plenty of hijinks and romance.
Would think so.
Now, 2 of those vintage cars have been restored. So this train is the Art Deco shiny silver Pullman cars of your dreams. The trips start in New York City at Penn Station.
Yep.
Passengers are invited to enjoy Amtrak's exclusive Metropolitan Lounge while they wait for departure time. And then you step aboard one of the 2 historic cars, either the Hickory Creek or the Tavern Lounge number 43. The train route heads north toward Albany, chugging alongside the scenic Hudson River. Lunch and cocktails are served on board.
That's nice.
When you arrive in Albany, there's a stopover for a few hours, and then you head back to the city during sunset. Sounds pretty good, right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, here's some more info to help sell it. I did a little Googling, and the bookstore voted the best bookstore in Albany is just 15 minutes from the train station. So you could hop in an Uber, do a little book shopping, and then get back on the train in plenty of time with a new book for the return journey. Now we need to talk about the 2 restored train cars.
Okay.
The History Creek is the last car on the train. The walls are almost all glass, so you get a panoramic view. There are couches and Art Deco carpeting. It looks like the ideal place to sip a martini and hatch a plot. And the passengers in the Hickory Creek get a 4-course gourmet meal cooked by the chef in the onboard kitchen. It's very swanky. However, don't sleep on the Tavern Lounge number 43, because that car is super social. It has huge picture windows, and it's lined with Art Deco easy chairs that face each other. So you're not facing forward or back, you're actually looking out the side windows. There are no reserved seats, so passengers are encouraged to mix and mingle and trade seats so they can see different views. Lunch in the Tavern Lounge is a buffet, and there's also a bar. So in my imagination, this is where the dame with Moxie shares a drink with the handsome hero.
Sure.
I watched a video by the woman behind the YouTube channel My Vintage Love. She and a group of her friends got all dressed up in 40s clothes and took the excursion. It looked very dreamy.
So this is a cosplay event.
I mean, you can certainly make it one. The dates for spring and fall excursions were announced recently, and tickets go on sale February 17th. If you have any interest in doing this whatsoever, you need to put that date on your calendar. Last year, the entire inventory of tickets sold out in 2 minutes.
You got to be on it.
You got to be on it. They doubled the number of excursions this year, so that should help. But if you want to get tickets, you want to be online at 10 a.m. Eastern on February 17th. Visit strongsenseofplace.com/library for more information about the Hudson River rail excursions and the books we discussed, including links to a nice long excerpt from Master, Slave, Husband, Wife, and a fantastic interview with the author.
Thanks for joining us in the Library of Lost Time. Remember to visit your local library and your independent bookstore to lose some time yourself.
Stay curious. We'll talk to you soon.
What's up, fellow TV watchers? It's Brian from The Core Podcast, where we cover all things Apple TV+. We are wrapping up our recaps of Emmy favorite Severance, but 2025 on Apple TV Plus is just getting started. In April and May, The Core is recapping Seth Rogen's new Hollywood satire, The Studio, and Jon Hamm's dark comedy, Your Friends and Neighbors. We'll also be recapping the first 2 seasons of Apple's sci-fi thriller, Foundation, heading into the 3rd season of that later this year. Search for The Core, all things Apple TV Plus, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.